Hiya there. I told you I'd be back. Come in here with me. So, welcome back to my channel. Now it's been nearly 5 months since I published my last video, but like I said at the time, I needed some time away to pursue some different interests, and all they were was probably a few more holidays and a little bit of travelling about, which I'm going to tell you more about. But I thought, what better place than my pub shed to sit down and tell you where I've been, what I've been up to, and a little bit about my future plans. So first things first, let's get a drink. It's like a big half, this, a nice size glass. Mind you, it is only 8 o'clock in the morning. Anyway, cheers then. Now, it was back, I think, June the 15th when I published my last video, but it was around May time that I started getting itchy feet, and I felt I wanted to have a few more holidays, and I also wanted to do quite a lot of solo trips just for the pleasure of travelling. It's something I've always wanted to do. I've done a few early ones, railway trips, but this was more. I wanted to kind of regularly each month do a solo trip for the adventure, the challenge, and I wanted to do it now while you could say I was young enough and still had the enthusiasm to do these trips. I knew if you leave it too long, your enthusiasm goes and you just haven't got the motivation to do these trips. When I thought about returning to YouTube, I did think about going straight back to a wild camp. But then I thought, well, there's 5 months of adventure that I've had, and I felt I wanted to share that with you all. Have a few drinks and I'll tell you what I've been up to. Rather than just go straight back to wild camping. We will be wild camping. There's loads of future wild camps planned. Now, I'm going to show you quite a few photographs, and I've got to say, most of them are a bit rubbish. When I did these trips, I had no intention of showing any photographs, so all I took with me was my mobile phone, just so I didn't have to carry much. I didn't even take a normal camera. I took my mobile phone, and that allowed me to take, you know, I got a record of where I'd been in the photographs. A lot of them, though, I took in like a portrait size, like you take on your phone. So if I'm having a drink, you take a portrait picture. And I'm now trying to show them on a YouTube video, which is like landscape. So some of the photos, some are alright, but a lot of the photographs aren't my best. I've tried to convert the portrait to landscape, but then you just get the head in and it doesn't do a good job there. Some are alright, but some, you take a mobile phone picture and you get that slim little look right in the middle of the widescreen. I hate it. If other people put them on, I thought, what a load of rubbish. They could have used a proper photograph. And here's me, I'm going to put some of those photographs on. But we'll see how it goes. I'm hoping it doesn't appear like I'm just showing you all my holiday pictures. I didn't want it to come across like that. It's more, it's showing you the adventure I had and the travel I've had, and it has also thrown up a different style of camping. It's a totally different style of wild camping I thought I would never do. But by doing these trips, it has thrown that up and sort of given me the idea of that. So we'll talk about that later on in the video. So if you fill your glasses, sit back, and I'll take you on a journey where I've been these last 4 or 5 months. Just had to get another drink. It is a big half, but they don't last too long. So back in May, me and my wife, we flew out to Malaga in Spain, caught the train down to Fuengirola for a 1 week's holiday. We didn't arrive there till very late, and I mean really late. It was after midnight. Due to various flight delays, we just didn't get there till late. But it was nice to have warmer temperatures and some nice spring sunshine. Fuengirola, lovely place. There were plenty of bars and restaurants, so there was loads of places to go out. Even found a pub named after myself. At night it did get quite hectic, but we did find a little bar that had got some live music on, and we used to go there quite a lot. With it being a good rail service, we found we could hop on the train, go to other places like Bellamedina, Torremolinos, and we went back to Malaga and had the day in Malaga. Definitely worth a visit. And we walked up a very steep hill on a very hot day, but I got some great photographs of the port area in Malaga. Now May, a very busy month. Apart from my birthday, one of the highlights was Barrow Hill Beer Festival near Chesterfield. A great day out. It's an old roundhouse built for the railways, full of steam trains. So you've not only got, I know, hundreds of different beers to choose from, you can actually drink it leaning on a steam engine. What a fantastic day. And also, the main auditorium, there's different bands playing all day. And another little area, there's a fantastic band called Rocks and Frocks. They play sort of 50s, 60s music all afternoon. There's a dance floor all laid out in front, and nobody gets up to dance apart from us, so we get the dance floor to ourselves. What a fantastic day out. So it was around June time I started looking at Skyscanner. I was just looking for a day out on a plane, that's all I wanted, just to fill a day in. And I started putting stuff in like Manchester to Birmingham, and it come up. I thought, oh, that's good, but it was via Dublin or via Belfast. But it was dirt cheap. It was about 30 quid and you got 2 flights. I thought, that sounds good for a day out. So I chose Stansted to Manchester via Belfast. Basically, I wanted to go down to Stansted to do a bit of a recce for future trips and see what the train journey was like. It was quite a long train journey. But basically, I set off early one morning, caught the train down to Stansted, had my breakfast in Stansted, and then set off on a flight over to Belfast on Jet 2. Got to, it was Belfast International, had a few more pints there. Guinness, got to be Guinness of course, I was in Ireland. And then it was back to Manchester. And the price of the flights, I was on the plane coming back to Manchester. I was on feeling at that happy stage, full of several pints of Guinness. Sat at the back of the plane, I got my earphones on, music blasting out. I looked out the window, there was the Isle of Man, 20,000, 30,000 feet below, beautiful blue sky, and I thought, this has cost me 15 quid. What a fantastic feeling, what experience. It was so cheap, and why sit at home when I could be up there on a plane flying somewhere? So you could say the seed was sown for some future trips. I landed at Manchester, went in the Radisson Hotel with a pint of Guinness, only £6 a pint, and then caught the train back to Sheffield Tap, another pint there. And I thought, it hardly cost me anything, and what a fantastic day out. So yeah, the seed had been sown for some future adventures. A little bit lively, this beer. Now, I enjoyed my short little trip to Belfast so much that in July, myself and my wife decided to have a week's holiday there, somewhere we'd never been before. We flew out on an Aer Lingus turboprop plane, and I got the seat next to the engine. Fantastic. I could watch that engine all day. Great it was. Anyway, one of the highlights, main reason we went, was the Titanic Museum. We'd been to an exhibition in London, but this was the proper museum up at Belfast. It was a fantastic day out, very educational, and I think we've all seen various films on television, and it really brought it home to what had happened on the Titanic disaster. But yeah, I would recommend it. A great day out. Now, Ireland has a very complex history, as we all know. And while we were there, we walked around both the Republican Catholic sides and the Protestant sides. And we tried to learn about and understand their history from all viewpoints. While we were there, we walked up Falls Road and saw all the Republican murals on the houses. And then by chance we cut across. We thought we'll head over to Shanklin Road, the Protestant side. We were second week in July. And then as we came round onto Shanklin Road, we were amazed with what we saw. The road was full of thousands of people, and all the marching bands were coming up the road. And we didn't realise it, but on the 14th of July, the Orange Day parades take place, and we were just a few days before, the weekend before, so they were out rehearsing the marches. And it was just an amazing sight and a fantastic atmosphere to watch dozens and dozens of bands marching past. It was a great experience. We then headed off down Shanklin Road and eventually came to the Sunflower Inn. And as you can see, this inn, this pub, has still got its security cage in front of the door. I did talk to the barmaid inside while she was pulling me a pint of Hample beer, I might add, why they kept the cage. And they just said it was a very important time for them, and they just wanted to retain the history in a way. But yeah, that was we had a couple of days walking round, and it was good experience. The rest of the time was probably spent visiting the fantastic pubs in Belfast. They were really nice, traditional, cosy, little bit of Irish music, nice pubs. There was a distinct lack of Hampled beer, which I did not realise. We found the Sunflower, there was another pub, we found 3 pubs, and that's all that had Hampled beer. Crown Liquor Saloon, lovely pub, 6 Hamples, couldn't believe it, I was in heaven. But yeah, everywhere else it was Guinness. But I must admit, I did develop a liking for Guinness. It was a nice, smooth pint, and after a few days I thought, yeah, I might as well stick to Guinness. But yeah, it was a great week's holiday. Now, because I was planning a lot more European trips, I decided to recce some of the airports I weren't familiar with. I was thinking places like Heathrow with its 5 terminals and Gatwick with 2 terminals. I'd never been to these airports before. So for a day out, I thought I'll go and recce them. Basically, I wanted to find the rail links, underground links, where do you actually catch the trains, all good information. Also, like Heathrow, how do you get from Terminal 5 to Terminal 3? So I spent a few days in July going round all these airports and just familiarising myself with them. They were good days out. They involved a few beers and a bit of train travel. Yeah, really enjoyed them. I even caught a national coach from Sheffield to London Victoria, and it was £7. It took possibly 3 or 4 hours, I can't remember, I think I slept most of it, but £7 all the way to London. Very, very cheap. Anyway, just going to finish this off, get another drink, and I'll tell you a bit more. Now, while planning these trips, it soon became quite obvious that a lot of the flights or the trains that I wanted to catch to do a day trip were very early, talking 6 o'clock in the morning. So say we're an airport, but you want to get there 2 hours before, that's 4. You might leave an hour and a bit of safety to travel, so that's 2. So you're getting up at like what, between 1 and 2 to get to the airport. You might as well not go to bed. And then I was thinking, well, if I could sort of be at the airport, in the area of the airport, and have a night's sleep, and then just drive to the last 5 miles to the airport that day, that would make it a lot easier. And that is when I came up with a new style of camping. It's actually, I suppose you could call, it's stealth car camping. So it's a bit like wild camping, but it's in your car. And I thought, if I could stealth camp in my car in a quiet little lay-by, something like that, I know, within like 10 minutes of the airport or the train station, I could get a good night's sleep, say park up at tea time, get a good night's sleep, then get up at, if it's a 6 o'clock flight, I'll get up at probably 3:30, something like that. That'll give me time, drive to the airport, park my car, and I'm in the airport. So I thought, what a fantastic idea. And it was, apart from a new style of camping I've not done, it would involve converting my car into a micro camper, which would involve woodworking, a lot of sewing, electrical work, utilise existing camping gear and adapt it for car camping. And it just gave me a new interest. I thought, great, I've got something new to work on now, stealth car camping. So in August, all the flight prices rocketed due to the school holidays, all the accommodation rocketed, and I dare say all the places you went to was full of families and children. So I thought, the perfect time to convert my car to a micro camper. And as you'll probably see in later videos, it is a micro camper. It is a very small car, mine, but it ended up like a TARDIS. Once inside, it was amazing. So I can't tell you much about it now, but that is for future videos. I'll go through how I converted my car into a micro camper, and hopefully we'll do some stealth camping, and we might even do a stealth camp and a European city, something like that. But yeah, it should be good. It's given me a new interest, and it kept me occupied all through the summer. It wasn't straightforward. I kept building what I thought was right, going out and doing a stealth camp. I think I've done 6 stealth camps up to now, and then when I came back I had to adapt it. But yeah, it was great fun, and there'll be a lot more videos in my channel to follow on car stealth camping. Now September arrives and I have the perfect trip planned. It's a day trip to Madrid in Spain. And this is what I'd been wanting to do, and it sort of gathered everything together. It involved a very early flight, 6 o'clock in the morning from Manchester, and a late return, probably near midnight, something like that. So I set off tea time before, parked up. I think I was only about 10 minutes from Manchester Airport, found a nice quiet lay-by, set my car up and had a great night's sleep. I was in the airport, well I drove to the airport, parked up, and then I was in the airport probably about 4 o'clock in the morning. But I'd had probably about 7 hours sleep or something like that. Early morning flight down to Madrid. Beautiful view it was. Beautiful, looking out the window at the sunrise. Now once in Madrid, I got the shuttle bus to the Atocha railway station in central Madrid. I had 4 things I wanted to do. Basically, recce the railway station. It's a big station, and I spent probably a good couple of hours walking around there. I were after a card called Tarjeta Dorado. It's basically a senior rail card. There is a catch, you can only buy it in Spain. And I had been to Spain a couple of months before and never realised it. So that was another reason. It's €6 and you can get like 30-40% off rail travel. So you'll have to read about it. You've got to pay in euros in cash, and it took me an hour queuing to get it, but it was for future trips. I wanted to recce a hotel, which I did do, and then the rest was just to have a nice meal and a few beers and then head back, and came back to Madrid airport. Now it wasn't so straightforward. To get the flight times I had to stop off at Heathrow, so I flew back to Heathrow and then got another plane from Heathrow up to Manchester. That's where I got back about midnight. Picked my car up, drove back out to my camping spot and had a fantastic night's sleep. I think I was shattered really, it was a full day, but I had a great night's sleep, and I thought, what a great day out. What you can cram in one 24-hour period was amazing, and that is what I'd been working towards, and it worked like a dream. It did. It worked perfectly. Then October saw me and my wife. We decided to have a week in Cyprus for some late summer sun. Neither of us had ever been before, so it was somewhere new to try. We chose a resort called Pataras, which was very near to Ayia Napa. Pataras was described as the quieter resort, so we thought we were a bit older, we'd be suited there. It was manic. If that is quiet, there were music blasting out from all the bars. Karaoke on in all the pubs, which I won't say I'm not bothered about. Every bar had about 6 TV screens. Why does everybody want to look at a TV screen when they're on holiday? Couldn't believe it. We did find a few bars that suited us. We quite often drank quite a bit in the afternoon. I enjoyed the Kio local beer. Very nice it was. Was lager, but you've no choice. I had the odd pint of Guinness here and there. But yeah, we had a good time. We hired this little buggy, made it interesting to get round. We're not good at staying in one place, so this little buggy gave us the freedom we want to drive places where we got high up and we had a great view looking down on Ayia Napa. We also headed up to the Turkish border. Got to the border, Turkish Cypriot border, and obviously after that were no man's land and you couldn't go any further. But we did go on a organised tour bus to Famagusta and Varosha. It's the only way I think you can do it. Varosha, right, Varosha was the resort of the jet setters and film stars of the 1970s. And obviously when the Turks, or is it the Turks, invaded in 76, Varosha stood still in time. You can see from these photographs, we were allowed to walk around the streets, and the hotels and shops covered in shrapnel marks. There were trees growing out the road, the swimming pools. It just looked like a war zone, and it had stood still in time for all these years. It was a great place to visit. I think it's only recently opened up. But yeah, Cyprus, yeah, lovely climate, nice food and nice beer. So it was a good holiday. And then October saw me just a quick overnighter to Genoa in Italy. I think it was because the flights again were cheap. Flew out to Genoa, got some accommodation, bang next to the railway station. I like to recce the railway stations. I have thoughts of another trip in this area, so I wanted to familiarise myself with the rail station and that. It weren't the best area that I was slept in. As you can see, the police even walk around in fours. The restaurants in this area weren't up to much, and I even had trouble getting a drink. It's as if in the evening they want to serve you food, not just a drink. I think at one place the only drink I could get were a hot chocolate. They wouldn't serve me a drink because I was supposed to have had food with it and I'd already had my meal. So I weren't impressed with this part of Genoa. The following day I caught a train down to Pisa, 2-hour rail journey. That were nice along the coast. I had been to Pisa 40 years ago, so it was just revisiting. I must admit, very touristy, but the restaurants were nice. I had a nice meal and far too much wine. Why I bought a litre of wine, I don't know. I think I'd got it took me a while to get a beer, so I thought if I buy a litre of wine, I can sit here for a couple of hours, have a meal. Anyway, it took so long to get my meal, and after I drunk all that wine, I only just made it back to the airport in time, catch my afternoon flight, which didn't bring me straight back. It took me to Gatwick, because that's the only flight I could get, train across London, and then obviously train up to Sheffield. Again, a full 36 hours. Or was it 48 that? I don't know. But it were good. It were good, and it didn't cost a fortune. So another great overnighter. Then October saw myself and my wife head off to Pickering, North Yorks, for a music festival known as Music Through the Decades, run by North Yorks Railway. It basically covered the music from the 1940s to 70s, so we thought we would address appropriately, and it was good to have long hair again. We had a great weekend, great music, a little bit of dancing and quite a lot of beer. But it was a good end to October. Getting a little bit warm in here now. So, nearly bringing us up to date now. End of November, only a couple of weeks ago, another trip to Spain. This time I booked a flight Manchester-Barcelona out and a flight back from Malaga, Manchester, probably 3 days later. So obviously all that was left, I had to join all that lot together with high-speed trains. So similar routine, I stealth camped in this lay-by I have near to Manchester Airport. I was in Terminal 3 around 5 o'clock in the morning. 7 o'clock flight down to Barcelona. From Barcelona, shuttle bus got me to Barcelona Sants railway station, which I'd never been to before. And from there I caught the high-speed AVE train to Madrid Atocha, where I had been before, part of the forward planning. Fantastic. Sat on a train, comfortable seat, loads of room, 300 kilometres an hour. It did 500 kilometres in 2.25 hours. Great, real comfortable journey. Now, I'd booked a hotel in central Madrid. There was a bit of confusion with my booking. and then they said Booking.com had booked it through a third party, and eventually after half an hour we sorted it out. My plan is to book a cheap room near to the railway station. So my cheap room, I don't know if this was a mistake, I had 4 beds in it and 2 balconies. Couldn't believe it. Anyway, this is the view I got from my one of my 2 balconies, looking over central Madrid at night. Fantastic view, just looking straight down onto Atocha main railway station. And then in the morning, I thought, well, I might not stay at a place like this again. I'll have a look, see what it's like in the morning. Yeah, this was rush hour traffic in central Madrid. So, next part of the plan is to get down to Seville in southern Spain. So, I got the Irio Freccia Rossa, if I can pronounce it. Freccia Rossa, otherwise known as the Red Arrow. Beautiful looking train. To me, it's the best looking train. It's like the Ferrari of high speed trains. So again, a lovely journey down. I went first class, and I even got a meal and drinks served at my seat. It was great. So I got to Seville, got another room booked there again, a £60 room. This time it was a mile from the station to get to Seville Old Town. And the other side of the coin, the room was rubbish. It must have been one of the worst rooms I've ever stayed in. It was a dark, dingy little room like a cell. There was no window. I managed to get some hot water for a shower. In the morning I could not get any hot water. It was somewhere to sleep, and that basically was it. But it's luck of the draw. Next morning I just got to walk back to Santa Justa railway station in Seville. Opened the hotel door. It was pouring it down, and I don't mean pouring it. It was absolutely torrential. And the narrow little streets, the water was pouring off the roofs, and I set off going. I tried to navigate on my phone. I couldn't quite see where I was going. I walked in the direction I thought for 20 minutes, and I went down this little alley, and my hotel was there again, and I spent 20 minutes walking around in a circle. Eventually I got to Santa Justa station. What a relief. I had coffee and cake, and then realised I was leaving a puddle of water around me, so I moved and I had coffee and cake again. And then next leg of the journey, another high speed train up to Cordobra, and then it was I only had about 2 hours there. Then it was Cordobra down to Malaga, and I caught the train, which is known in Spain as, I can't remember the Spanish, but we translate it to the Duck, and I think you can see why. Ended up in Malaga, sat in the sunshine. I had a beautiful 3-course meal. Like I say, sat in the sun. 11.5 euros. I had a couple of beers, and then off to Malaga airport, train back to Manchester, pick my car up, and then back to my stealth camp location, and another fantastic night's sleep. I think I was away Monday to Friday, but it was such an amazing time, and again it brought together everything I'd been working towards. A very memorable trip. Anyway, I'm going to finish this off, nip to the toilet, and then I'll tell you about some of my future plans for the channel. And I'm going to sit over there for a change, because I've been sat here and I fancy a different location. So I'll see you in 5 minutes or so. You'll see me straight away, and we'll carry on, and I'll tell you a little bit more. See you in a bit. If I sit here, I'm nearer to the hand pump. And that sort of brings us up to date. We're mid-December now. It's very cold outside, and I'm glad I'm in this nice warm pub shed. But it's been a hectic last 5 months or so, but that's how I like it. I don't like days when there's not a lot to do. I like days crammed full of everything, as if I've got to do as much as I can, and then the day after and the day after. That is how I like to live. I'm no good just sat doing nothing. I have to be doing something. And I think these sort of 1 to 2 great trips, I've really loved those, because it crams such a lot in say a 24-hour period. You can fly out, another European city, fly back, few drinks, nice meal. There's such a lot happening, and that is how I like it. The thing is, not everybody else likes it. My wife and most of my friends can't understand why I do it, and I could imagine there's a lot of you out there. Why spend that money and go all that way and do all that travelling? The travelling's the worst part of the trip, that's what everybody tells me. But to me it's not. The travelling is the best part. Once I get there, I start to get bored. I like to be moving forward. I like to be travelling. So whether it's on a train, a plane, or even a coach, you are going somewhere, and that is the bit I like. Once I get there, it's like, well, I'm here now, what do I do? I'm looking forward to moving on to the next stage. But at the end of the day, we're all different in what we choose to do, and that is what I like. I like the travelling side of it. Now I have a few trips planned for next year. I can't help it. As soon as I return, I immediately go on the computer and start looking for, I wonder how much it is to get, oh look, I can get to so-and-so for 20 quid. I'll book it. And I've got another trip planned, but that's how it is. I like to have 1 or 2 trips planned for the future. And I've got holidays with my wife as well, so if I can get somewhere each month, I'm happy. Now, as for the future, well, I've certainly missed the wild camping. I think with wild camping it's the challenge and the pure adventure you get from it that I've missed. I have really missed it, but I had to make room for these trips, and that they sort of took priority, and I'm glad I've done them. It's just finding a happy medium. But yes, we will be out while camping. I'll be out in January. I have a nice little spot up at Ringing Low, if I can get in. I think it's become quite a popular spot, but I'll get there early in the afternoon and bag a pitch. So yeah, definitely be out while camping in January, and I've got some good interesting ideas for future camps, all involve probably a little bit of cooking, a little bit of drinking, nice locations, but that's all in my thoughts. And like I mentioned earlier, we will be looking at stealth car camping, and I'll take you through how I converted my car, how I managed to run an electric blanket, and I've converted to an electric hob for cooking. a lot better than gas in a car, and hopefully we'll do a stealth camp and a trip abroad and back to another stealth camp. That is the ultimate. That is what I've been aiming at and doing. So yeah, plenty planned for the future. Anyway, it's always nice to share your adventures with other people. I think by having a break from YouTube, it did give me the opportunity to do these sort of trips abroad that I've always wanted to do. It's no good leaving it till you're too old and you've lost the motivation and you think, oh, I wish I'd done it when I was younger. So yeah, I'm sorry that I've been missing for all this time, but I'm glad that I took the opportunity to do these trips. And I have trips planned in future, and I've wild camps planned for the future. It's just finding a happy medium between them and trying to produce a regular supply of videos, really. So, if I could wish you all a very Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year, and an exciting year of wild camping trips or whatever you enjoy doing for next year, 2024. So, I'll raise my glass to you. Happy Christmas and New Year, and I'll see you in my Sulu tent on a hill in January 2024. See you for now. Bye then.